Well, boys, it's been a while.
It's been how long?
I think a little over a month.
Not long enough. No, I'm just kidding.
It's been a little over a month.
Yeah. I was about to say I think we went the entire month of July without recording. Really, with barely even talking to each other, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's still July.
Yeah, but like we did most
June?
of June.
No, June.
And
I'm sorry.
into July. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been nice to kind of decompress. I proposed the idea, and then JP did a quick second. Against it. He was just like, "Yeah, me too."
I'm like, glad you mentioned it.
I know. Yeah. It's been good. I haven't
some
really
angry listeners.
I know. I got some messages as well. There's some people that were like, "What the hell? Like, we want more episodes." So it's kind of cool.
You guys quit? Sorry.
Yeah, just give us a month.
No.
But it's kind of cool though when people start talking like that. I was like, I guess people really do care when we record and they like listening to us. So, but it was a good break, and it wasn't a break. We didn't per se needed a break from the podcast. We all just had a lot going on, and it was getting harder to try to schedule during the month. Jesse and I were out of town for many of the weeks in June. Brandon was working a lot and getting other stuff done. He's picked up at least 7 new hobbies in the month of June.
Yeah.
So things are busy, and it was a nice little break.
ADHD, you know.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that real quick, Brandon. What are you?
My ADHD.
What hobbies have you picked up?
I wouldn't say it's a hobby. I'm growing another business. I actually
Gotcha.
I actually put a DBA under my Woodworks as Walker's Resale to resell mostly car parts on eBay. I've talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but mostly that, and then going to like yard sales and thrift stores and stuff too to kind of help supplement it. Just a little mix of everything, but it's been going good, except for my wood table is always filled with lights and car parts, but that's good.
So you went full Gary V. You're going to garage sales, buying stuff,
I've
getting
only
super
been to
excited.
one garage sale. I was going to thrift stores quite a bit, and it's interesting. When I very first started, I was like, there's nothing in here, but then you start following, there's like, as with every hobby and whatever, there's a whole community on Instagram of that, which I started another Instagram for it because I like to keep everything kind of separate. Like on my woodworking one, I only follow mostly woodworking stuff. My personal one, I do, cars and guns and whatever. And then on that one, I just like to keep it separate so it's not all flooded together. But there's a whole community over there of the same type of people. And so you learn stuff along the way, just like anything else, what to look for. There's actually a few really big YouTubers that do it. One guy his channel is called Harry Tornado. He's a pretty cool dude. He's like down, I think he's South Carolina or something, but he's got like 150,000 subs, I think. And basically just like a vlog. He just wears a GoPro and goes into thrift stores and yard sales and shows what he gets and how much he sells it for and all that stuff. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
now, are you keeping this exclusive to car parts, or are you doing other things? Just anything that you can make a profit on?
I would say it's probably 75% car parts because that's more what I'm interested in. And eBay is, I've been told, like the largest used car market in the world. So
makes sense.
I figured, I didn't know eBay was still as big as it is. Like I thought it was kind of going away, but it's really not, especially for secondhand stuff and like used car parts, stuff like that. So especially if you can get a good deal on like newer model LED headlights or taillights or something like that. I don't know if you tried to buy those recently, but like the newer, my buddy has a brand new F-250 and he broke his headlight or taillight or something like that. And it was like $2,700 for one taillight. Yeah. Oh, actually Aaron did it to his Raptor. So the Raptor taillight's got like all the sensors and everything in it and the camera and all that crap. Well, it was like $2,800 for a taillight. So if you can go on eBay and buy one for $600 or $700, obviously you're going to probably do that instead. So there's just a ton of people doing that. And then the shop's underway. Super excited about that.
Yeah.
All the footings are dug, rebar's all in, and then my concrete's getting poured tomorrow at 6 a.m. So by the time this comes out, it'll be poured and good.
How big are you doing again?
It's just 20 by 35. because if I went over 700 square feet, I was going to have to go through like a special permitting process, and I didn't want to. And then plus, it was going to cost like $60,000 as opposed to 30, and so I didn't want to do that. Plus, we're not going to live here forever, but I just needed something to work out of. I can't work out of just these 2 small 1-car garages anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Especially with trying to do 2 businesses.
Yeah, that's exciting. So you're going to try to keep your resale stuff in your garage and then move all your woodworking stuff to your new shop? Is that the plan?
Definitely moving all the woodworking stuff to the new shop, except for the CNC that I'm getting will be in here. So that'll be like in this little side addition, and then probably the rest of the garage will turn into like a cleaning, shipping area for the parts.
That's cool.
But then some of the shop will be for taking the parts off the cars and stuff like that.
How close are you to going solo, man? Because I mean, you're getting there, right? You have to be close. I mean, you're doing you're doing woodworking, you're doing this resale thing now, and I know it's successful. You've been messaging us, and I follow your page.
It's going well.
Actually,
a lot of people that do it, they're like, "Wow, you're doing really good for only being at it for a couple months." I'm like, "Wow." It's not really that hard of a business model. It's just like research what people are buying, because you can go on eBay and see the sold stuff. See what people are buying. Don't buy and list the stuff that it takes forever to sell. Try to find the stuff that sells through quickly, and I don't know.
It's cool.
I'm not saying I'm an expert by any means, but it's not like it's a hard business model to follow.
I actually enjoy following your resale page. It's kind of cool. Like when you're like, yeah, I bought this for this and I sold it for this.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, that's
why kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, there's another guy called his name's Tim. It's Osborne to Thrift, and that dude, he's full time, and he has been for like 10 years or something. But he lives actually in Idaho, but it comes down to like around you to thrift and stuff, because I guess the thrift stores around you apparently are full of just because a lot of people around there, there's a lot of like
they're LDS
upper class.
Well, that and LDS people, which is like Mormons, they don't throw stuff away. Like it's the thrift.
He goes
stores
to like
crazy.
some of the thrift stores that are actually Mormon ran, like the Deseret Industries.
Yeah, so it's called the DI. Yeah, Deseret Industries. Yeah.
Yeah, he kept saying, "Oh, DI." I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, like in his YouTube videos.
Well, my father-in-law, because he goes there all the time buying stuff, he always calls it the DIY. He's like, yeah, because I always buy stuff and then I just build whatever I want with it. He's like, you buy all this stuff. He's like, yeah, go to the DIY. But yeah, we have some good. And the other thing too is Utah's so dry, so things don't. It takes forever to rust, or like it's not humid here, so that also preserves a lot of the metal. And whatnot.
I've noticed a lot of that with the car parts and stuff, especially like I would say over 50% of the sales I do for car parts are back east, like Florida or New York, or where it's like the roads are salted and stuff.
Well, and then it's the humidity just breaks down the metal, and then so it's hard for them to find it where they're at, so they have to ship it from over here. Makes sense. That's cool.
It sucks for me because everything in the car part like niche is mostly all free shipping, and if you don't do free shipping, then they'll just go to the next one that does have free shipping. So if you have to ship a headlight that's 30 inches long to freaking New York from California, really cuts into the profits. But it's still,
so you just basically put extra into it to make sure that it covers those costs, or you try to,
but you still have to be like competitive with everybody else that has the same thing listed. That's the only downside with like the car parts, is there's a bunch of people doing it with the same part, so you got to be like competitive,
What if there'd be a market there for woodworking tools?
I've sold some of my woodworking stuff on there. Yeah, I had like a big Carb Tech set of like shaper bits that I'm clearly never going to use because I don't have a shaper. Yeah, and those sold pretty quickly actually.
That's cool.
And I think I sold some other stuff too. Oh, I had like 3 pairs of those ISO tunes, and one was brand new, and I sold one of those. I sold pretty quick. Stuff like that.
When I need to get rid of woodworking tools, I usually end up selling them for dirt cheap on the classifieds, or giving them to somebody that I know that can just use it. It's like, unless it's, I mean, I haven't had to sell a big tool before, so there's that. But for most time, I'm just like, oh, it's my Ryobi miter saw. You can have it. Okay, yes, go ahead. I'm like,
I'm sorry here.
That's right.
I must say,
I apologize in advance.
typically, if I'm getting rid of it, I have used it to its brink.
Right. Exactly.
Rarely am I getting to replace anything that I haven't just absolutely tore apart and bought used in the first place.
Yeah.
Right.
So, JP, what have you done over the last month?
Well, besides not posting anything to Instagram and YouTube, a lot. I took some time off on the social media stuff, not on purpose, but I just had a lot of busy stuff going on outside of the shop. I needed a lot of outdoor projects to do, which was woodworking, but I couldn't take enough time away from work and family and stuff to video them because I made... So I poured concrete, 2 10-foot by 10-foot pads off my back porch, and then I was going to make pergolas, build pergolas over both of them. And I just didn't have enough time. As you guys know, when you're filming it, and especially outdoors and projects that big, it just doubles and triples the time it takes to do those projects, and I couldn't devote that kind of time. So I took some photos along the way and put them up, but I barely did anything social media-wise with them. I just built them and got them done as quickly and efficiently as I could, which they turned out beautiful. I mean, I could not be happier with it. It's awesome. But, sometimes when you're doing those, especially projects for yourself like that, you kind of got to make that decision. And when having the backyard tore up and how much time it's going to take away from everything else. And so I did that, and that took a week or so because I basically did it by myself with the exception of a couple of my neighbor friends coming over and helping me out. Getting stuff lifted up or, whatever. And then I was out of town for 2 weeks. The wife and I finally, after many, many years of not getting away, just the two of us without kids, got to get away for a while. And we went to San Diego and spent a week out there after our family vacation that we did down at the beach. So some back-to-back really cool trips and got to enjoy ourselves out there a lot. And it was great.
That's awesome.
It needed a nice little reset from everything. But I miss the shop, and I miss doing actual woodworking projects in the shop and videoing it. I got a brand new camera. I bought this brand new camera. I've literally not turned it on yet. I've had it for over a month. I hadn't even turned it on yet. So I'm excited about getting that thing set up, getting back to filming again. I got several projects on the checklist that I want to get going. But I tell you what, though, I really, really enjoyed building those pergolas. Something outside of the shop. The weather was great. I haven't done many projects that I could just be outside of the shop doing stuff with, and to do a little less fine woodworking stuff, a little more construction style woodworking, which I did, I tried to make it as fine woodworking as I could. I put some details in there, wrapped the 4x4 posts with 1-bys with miter joints and all that good stuff. So it was a good experience and I enjoyed it. And, like I said, I could not be happier the way it turned out. We had a bunch of people over last night for the McGregor fight, and I bet we had 25 or more people out there in that area, and still could probably have doubled that area, that number of people. Good. So it was cool. I like it.
That's awesome. Did it cost a ton more than you thought it was going to with all the lumber prices, or no?
Well, it cost a lot more than what I'm used to, but I expected the cost with the way the wood was. I made the decision to do it while wood was high. I tried to, I tried to be a little like when I went and got when I did the one over the pool equipment area, I used decking boards to block off the view from you can see the pool. So I went and found the decking boards that were in bad shape, and they gave me 50% off on them. Oh, cool. Because I didn't need them for decking, so I just needed them to
and
look
they
good.
Probably just need to get rid of them.
They're exactly.
That's fine. Take them.
Exactly. So I was able to do a few little things like that. But stain them as black as I did. I stained everything midnight black.
Yeah. And, start calling you Nick Key.
Great. Yeah, right.
Make everything black.
But I expected the cost, and I did a little bit at a time, and the penalty box woodshop stuff was providing enough income that I was able to use that money to do it, and it didn't really take away from us too much. So that's awesome. I was happy to do it. Yeah.
That's really cool. It looked, the projects, at least the pergolas that I saw you did, that's pretty much, you just went over, just the pergolas is the big thing that you tackled over the last month.
Yeah.
Because you're on vacation. Those turned out really cool.
Thanks.
yeah, I really like the look of them. I actually like that dark black stain, which I don't use a lot. Like I don't know if I've ever used black stain before. Like I've used, I guess, what was it? Ebony? Is that what it was?
It was the equivalent of ebony. I went with deck stain.
So
it's like the all-in-one.
Like a paint almost.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so paint, I just told them, I was like, whatever the black one, they called it something. It was like midnight, something or whatever, whatever it was. But that way it was all in one, so I didn't have to come back and put a clear coat on it. And I figured that's going to hold up the best. That's typically what my back porch is, cedar, and that's typically what I restain it with. And that's the reason I went with that color, is because my posts and everything on it are that same color. So I wanted them to match. But it was the first thing I've done black as well, like that dark. And I think it looked really cool. And honestly, with my inexperience in doing that style of, I've never made pergolas before or anything like them. And I didn't look at anything. I just kind of fought my way through it, and it was great. But that color kind of helped hide some imperfections as well. You know what I mean?
I'm sure.
Like when I wrap those posts with the miters and stuff, like it's such a good dark color. It kind of hides some of that stuff, which is cool.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to get those miters, the long miters, like up a long board like that.
Yeah, especially on 1x pressure treated lumber you got from Lowe's.
Right.
It's not the straightest best stuff ever.
Yeah. We did a conference table for a house, and they had Claro walnut, like everything in their kitchen, like all the posts were wrapped in Claro, like crazy. And it had a Finnish carpenter that did it, and he was the guy that lived there that hired him was telling us that he came back like 3 or 4 days working on one post, just like filling it, sanding it, just trying to get all the miters perfect. And it looked like a legit beam. Like he had it all like grain. The grain was wrapped right. I mean, it was crazy. I was like, thank you for not calling us for that.
Dude, I can imagine how nervous that dude was.
I don't think it would have turned out so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate finish work. Out of everything, finish work is, I'm your like, all right, let's just throw some putty in there and just throw stain on it. You're good to go and move on. And that's why I like working with the outdoor projects. I feel like you have a little bit more leeway. You're like, dude, give it 6 months. It's gonna wear in anyway.
Dude, it's rough for me though. Was it hard for you to do like that when you're used to like finer woodworking, as far as like framing stuff like that?
Yes, it was.
Dude, it
but it was also kind of nice too. Like,
right, but you have to kind of get used to it, and it's hard to like accept good enough. Like when I built this catio thing, I'm like, this looks like crap. Like, what am I making? Because like some of the boards had twisted because they were sitting out, and they were like 16-foot long 2x4s, and so there's no way and they were wet. They weren't even kiln dried. It's all I could get. But yeah, it's just like once they got it like complete and painted and everything, I'm like, oh, it actually looks pretty good. Like when I was doing, I was like, oh, this is. I just started woodworking yesterday. Like what, what's the deal? And I tried to do because everybody's talking crap about using screws, so I tried to use like nails, and then I did like the frame for the deck with nails, and I was like, screw this, like this sucks.
Yeah, so they did that, and we built a deck for my brother-in-law, and he bought all this stuff. He just wanted us to go down there and help him, and it was like in this tiny. He lives in a housing community that's kind of like townhouses, but every house is separate. Like, so they're all really close together, and you have a tiny backyard. Well, his backyard was pretty much unusable because it was just like mud for the most part, like a one walking path in the mud, like dirt. And so he's like, let's put a deck in between from like the fence all the way to the house so we can at least use this whole area. So we did it, and when I posted videos of it, and people just like went crazy that we were using screws. And I'd like to inform, this was like 2-3 years ago, and it's still not falling apart. Just saying, and that's in Utah weather. But they were like, dude, it's like one summer or one winter, and those screws are all gonna pop. And we're like, I think it's gonna be okay.
Right.
And yeah, it's been fine.
You're like, when they pop, I'll put another one in.
Right. That's just like, all right, guys, let's all relax.
I got the
here.
same when I put in my overhead garage storage in my old house. And I used screws for that. Then I got the whole sheer, weight difference between screws and nails and that. Right. I should have used nails and screws. And then when I built the first pergola, I put some nails in just to tack up the headers or whatever, and man, I got all kinds of crap. That board's gonna pull away and all this. I'm like, I'm gonna put screws in too. Chill out.
Yeah, right. It's like, what's the right way?
Right.
Like, you use 2 screws and 1 nail.
That's the problem with social media, though. As soon as somebody sees one thing for 15 seconds, they're like, "Ooh, I saw this reel where this guy put in a nail in a header." He's like, and that's all he did. Crazy. It's like, dude, you didn't see the end of the project. You saw 15 seconds of like a 3-day build, and you're trying to like say that you know everything. It's like, relax, huh?
It's funny. When I did that, I posted that carousel of me doing those headlights. I don't know if you saw storing the headlights with the Merca. Cool. And that thing worked really good for that, especially with like the Abernet and Aberlon, like the high grits. Using it on like the headlights and then polishing with the bonnet deal that I got with it.
I missed that, but I'm gonna have to go back and look at it because I need to do that.
I did. Well, these ones are really bad, so I went down to like 320, but normally you only need to go down to like 1,000 and then up to like 2,000, but I went up to 4,000. But anyway, my point of it was people keep messaging me, "Hey, I saw this thing where you could just use bug spray to clean your headlights." I'm like, okay.
I saw that video where he just uses bug off or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it's not the same. It's
like,
come on now.
I've seen people do it and then it just goes back to looking like crap in like 2 weeks.
Right.
Because all it's doing is just cleaning the oxidation off, and then it's just gonna redo it. You have to like sand it down, get all the clear coat off, and then re-clear coat it, and then it's good for like a year or 2 or whatever. But yeah, it's just funny.
It's like clearing your check engine light before you sell it.
Yeah, that's right. You just plug in the machine, you're like clear. Oh, look at it, it's new. This thing runs great.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't work in California because you're required to smog things before you sell them.
Well, I have to get an emissions test every 2 years, and one of my O2 sensors on my truck is off or whatever. And so I bought one of those things, and every time before I go, I just plug it in if it's on, because it only comes on very occasionally, the check engine light. But it seems like every time I go to do the emissions test, like the 3 days before it goes off. But I always just plug that thing in and hit clear, and it clears it. And then
that
I just
still
go
doesn't
take
work here.
Why?
I figured that out because if you clear your codes and you take it there, their systems show, like, it pulls up the ECU and it tells them what tests it has ran.
It's a recent clear.
Yeah. It has to run all these different tests. So you literally, if they won't even do it, they'll just be like, you need to go drive it for like an hour up. They're like, go up the freeway, go drive up mountains, this and that. And it has to show that it has ran all of its tests. And if it doesn't show that, then they will not do it.
Maybe
that's how strict California is.
I usually do it like a couple days before and clear it. And usually it's
if
worked.
It's not on, then it hasn't ran that test. And they can see that.
No, I mean, so it was on, like, anyway. I usually clear it. Like, it was on, like,
I used to do that. It was used to work here. Trust me. My dad worked at a small
here's the
shop
caveat, too, is I take mine to usually the same guy
let's not
that
get
I've worked
arrested,
for.
Okay?
No, but it's a guy I worked for when I was patrol, and he has this little small shop that I always take all my stuff to. And that being said, but like the OT sensor wasn't on when I took it to him. He didn't say anything. So I don't know. Whatever. But anyway. Today's episode's sponsor is Merca. They're the pioneers of dust-free sanding.
I've been using my Merca for over a year, and they just recently sent us all sanders and vacs, and the change for me was the HEPA vac. It is amazing. No dust, super quiet, and it's very healthy because it literally will take all the dust out of the air. Like, nothing escapes. It's pretty crazy, especially if you're using the Abernet paper. Highly recommend it.
So be sure to go follow them on Instagram. It's Merca_USA. Also go follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and across the platforms. I know that they would truly appreciate it. And do us a favor, shoot them a message. Let them know that we sent you. It always helps us out when you let them know that. So, dude, Jesse, you got a new shop up and coming, don't you?
Yeah, actually, tomorrow they break ground.
We're in a race.
You're going to win.
I know.
Mine's a little bit bigger than yours.
Because you did the VersaTube, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're doing it yourself.
Yeah.
When's the shop coming itself?
I am not sure. You haven't gotten the actual date. I'm actually hoping it doesn't come for another about 3 weeks. Just because I don't want to store it, and we have a family reunion in 2 weeks pretty much here at my house, because we have the biggest property, and so there's gonna be like 50 people.
You can put up easy ups on the slab.
That's the goal. So I talked to a couple concrete guys because I finally got the okay. I got my plans, the engineered signed plans, all this crap. And so the city was like, yeah, you're good to go. Like, here's the inspections you need. You can start. And then I was talking to a couple different concrete guys, and I basically said, you need to get it done. You need to start as soon as you can. Like, I'm saying, like, this week. You need to have it done within like 2 weeks. And, you know, one of the guys were like, yeah, I can do that. I'll start Monday. I'm like, okay, then let's do it. So we went. So, cool. But he was also like one of the cheaper ones as well. So it worked out.
Do they give you a square foot price?
No. This was everything combined is what they did. The other guy gave me a square foot price, and he only charged me like $1.75 a square foot is what he ended up doing because of how much work it was. He was like, usually I do $4 a square foot, but how much I have to do here, he's like, I'm gonna end up making my money back. That's what he said. Incorrect. And I was like, well, but no, but he gave me such a good price. That guy did too, and these guys gave me a little bit less. Like,
there's no way,
dude. So I did. Well, he broke it down. I have a picture of it. I'll have to show you. He broke it down.
Mine was $14 a square foot.
That's ridiculous. The average is like $4 to $6
for everything with labor
for
and
cement.
Everything?
For your cement work, it's usually $4 to $6. Or you're saying for rock, everything to tear it all out, or what? Job. No, I'm talking about cement. So he broke it down like, okay, this is how much the rock is going to cost.
No, I'm moving tomorrow. This is ridiculous.
No. So cement costs, right? Your cement costs like per foot.
Call him in the morning and be like,
your cement cost per
anything.
Foot. Yeah, your cement cost per foot is like $4 to $6 typically.
For just the material.
Right. And that's him putting it in as well, right? That's how he calculates it. Then for on top of that, he does okay, the rock's gonna cost this, and then he broke it all down. But for him, he was saying he got me a good deal, and he was like, oh, I didn't end up going with this guy anyway, because the other guy ended up being able to start faster and was a little bit cheaper. But I have a ton. So I have it's a 62 by 24 foot shop. So it's like 1,500 square feet. It's like 1,490 or 1,480 something.
That's amazing. I didn't realize it was that big.
Huh? Yeah, it's very big.
Yeah,
and then I have a sidewalk going across the whole side of it, and then I'm tying it into the existing driveway. So I'm actually like concreting. I forget how much square feet it is. It's like 34 by 16 feet. So it's still basically another huge shop worth of concrete in front of it. And then they're taking out some concrete on my driveway and replacing that as well because of the guy that poured it to be extra driveway or whatever. He only poured a 2-inch slab. So like the first time a dump truck came and dumped rocks, it cracked the entire like back 4 sections. And so I'm like, I gotta replace this because there's no way I'm gonna have shitty concrete with new concrete. That's not gonna happen.
How thick is your slab for your shop gonna be? How thick for your slab?
So the footings are 30 inches deep.
Oh wow!
By
because it freezes there.
Frost line, yeah. Right. So 30 inches deep by 1 foot wide. If I like for the type of shop I'm doing, you would only need a foot by a foot.
Yeah, that's what mine are.
Okay, so yeah, that's what they said they require unless you have a frost line. So it's inside a frost line.
Well, I mean, like the slab itself, though.
Yeah, it's only 4 inches on the inside.
That's what mine is too.
Yeah, so it's a foot by 30 inches will be the footings, and then it'll be a 4-inch slab on top of all that.
Nice.
So yeah, should be good. They'll start tomorrow, 8 a.m. Start digging out the trench for the footings.
You know what your only problem is, right?
What?
It's just like when you buy a bigger house, you ain't got enough damn tools to fill that shop.
Well, half of it's a office. So this office is not big enough for us. We spend a lot more time in the office than we do anywhere else. So it's like for us with all the work we do, it's like it makes sense to have a big office. So it's gonna be a 16 by 24 foot office, and then we're gonna have a little hallway. And in the hallway we'll have a photo booth room where we can take pictures of finished products or whatever. And then on the other side, it'll be like a little closet that'll be for the dust collection, air compressor, paint, stains, all that crap. Nice. And then it'll be the shop.
Are you going to section off a place for metal work and woodworking?
So we're not going to section it off, but they're going to be separated. Like one whole half is going to be metal and the other half will be woodworking.
I knew you'd kind of gotten into it pretty good, so I figured you'd dedicate some area for it.
Yeah, it'll probably be a big corner, big section. Probably a third of the actual shop space will probably be metal, and the other two will be, assembly and woodworking stuff. But honestly, my first project, the first big project I want to tackle is I want to do another trailer renovation. Like I've been looking at buses and to actually like do a whole bus and stuff like that. Because first of all, when it's just coming from content standpoint, that is done better than any other. It's got like almost 800,000 views now, and my overview video. And I'm like, that's something that's not gonna die. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like an inspiration type video. Like my overview video is, I go into detail in the actual episodes, but that one's more like, didn't know what I was doing. Like, well, I knew I was doing, but it's like first time for me to do it. Like I'd never done anything like this, and so I just dove into it, and people seem to really respond with that. Like I get comments daily on that video. So if I can kind of replicate that into doing it, well, first of all, we have 3 kids and they're getting bigger, so I need a bigger trailer already. So if I can do that, it can be a video, because that's already paid for itself, like way more than paid for itself just by the YouTube revenue. And if I ever want to sell it, I'm going to be able to make a ton of money off of what we actually invested into it. So for me, it just makes sense. Like we could buy a bus, renovate it. I can sell it if I want. I can keep it if I want. Hopefully I get the YouTube revenue from it. Kind of work in every direction. So
that'll be cool.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome.
My wife's stoked.
I would love to do something like that, but our HOA, I couldn't keep a trailer.
That's what it is. That's what I was going to say. My wife's so stoked to have like a trailer park in our driveway. Oh, so pumped.
Oh, my girlfriend is over the moon about all my junk cars.
Yeah, right. It's the same thing.
She's super excited.
Yeah.
So
she's like, you're doing what?
I saw a house. I was out looking at land a while back over on the Caney Fork River, which is a kind of middle to east Tennessee. Beautiful place, beautiful land out there and stuff. And I was out looking at some land, and I noticed there was it's like a fishing guide place. So basically these people lived right there on the Caney Fork, and they started their own fishing guide, and they went and bought a bunch of older, smaller campers like what you have and restored them and put them out on their property, and people could come and stay in the campers and go on fishing guide trips over the weekends and stuff. That would actually be a cool idea if you can get 2 or 3 of them out there and then start doing classes in your woodshop.
Oh, you're saying on my property? Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Me and my brother and my dad want to start looking at getting some investment properties and doing kind of Airbnbs, but with trailers we renovate. And just because really all you need is you need to have some sort of septic where obviously, the toilets can be running. You need power. So we have power, and then you need water. And then you can just get a big propane gas to be hooked up to lines, right? Or you just go fill it, whatever. And so it would be pretty cool. That's one thing we've talked about. So if I can find some property somewhere we like, that's close by but far enough where it's either vacation for us, so we want to go, but also to maintain it or manage it, you can go up there and do whatever. That would be kind of ideal. So we'll see. It was a lot of fun. It's probably one of the funnest projects I've ever done.
That's awesome. So, and it turned out great. It's a beautiful little camper.
Thanks, man.
And I know I know y'all get a lot of use out of it too.
We do. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. We've already gone a few times this year. I want to go at least one more time, but it is so hot right now that I'm not sure if it'd be worth it. Like Brandon's laughing because he's like, it's 114 degrees here, and I know, but it's been 90 degrees here. It's been 90 degrees here. Oh my god! No, in the 90s. Like it's been close to 100. Hasn't? I don't.
Do you know what the low was last night?
It hit 100 today. So
yeah, it didn't go below 89 last night.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's miserable.
We still drop, like outside will be in like the 70s or high 60s, but then it just cranks back up. Right. During the days, but yeah, it's so unusual for us. We have rivers that are just dried up, like they're usually full all the way through all summer, and they're gone. Our reservoirs are super low.
It was setting records like up in Washington stuff. It was like 111 and Washington. I'm like, what?
I saw that in somewhere in Oregon too. It was 115.
Yeah, Oregon and Washington.
It's like, oh
yeah, like that's
crazy.
That's normal for some areas here, but not there.
That's crazy.
I mean, even where I'm at, it's not that normal to get above like 105. But dude, it's just been like relentless already. Yeah. It's 758 and it's 103.
Oh gosh, how's your shop feeling right now?
I've had the AC on all day and it's still 84 degrees.
That's hot.
That sucks. Yeah.
That's hot. It's the humidity gets us here, and the humidity in my shop.
Our humidity is usually around like 25%.
Yeah, we're pretty low.
So it's not really that bad.
Yeah, ours, you can cut it with a knife, and you can
sucks.
really feel it when you're in the wood shop, and especially when you're filming. And I don't have AC in my wood shop. It's just my garage, and then I can't turn on a fan. I have to turn a fan off to film or anything because it's just too loud. So between stop recording. So between recording, you got the air hose with the air nozzle up your shirt, trying to keep from sweating through your shirt when you get
like
on
wearing
camera.
a sweatband from the 80s.
Yeah. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that.
Well, with no hair to keep sweat out of your eyes, a hat is.
You should definitely do that. If you could be in the wood shop looking like Will Farrell from what's that freaking
Blades
movie?
of Glory?
No, not Blades of Glory. That's wrong movie, but yes.
You're talking about the basketball movie, right?
Yeah, semi-pro. That's what it is. Semi-pro. Yeah, when he's got the fro, but just look like him, huh?
Gotcha.
That's funny.
I'll have to try that out.
Short shorts, wristbands, headband.
Yep.
Dude, you got a whole different clientele coming to your page,
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to get back in the shop, even if I have to wear a sweatband. I don't care how hot it is.
Yeah, I am too. My shop's been a disaster, so I got to clean it. That's probably one thing I want to do this week. Since I'm going to be hanging out here, since all the concrete guys will be here, and I want to make sure. Not that I want to hover. I hate those people, but I still want to be by in case they have questions and stuff. Like today, I actually printed out on my plans, and it's kind of daunting. So I had to do my parts list and plans where it shows like my specific building, and then they have the instruction manual that's like a universal instruction manual for all their buildings, and it was 44 pages, and I'm like, whew, okay. And so now, getting ready for that. But I had printed out like the concrete, exactly what they have to do for the things. So I'm just be like, here you go, get it done. It's pretty simple though. It's just like 4 bars of rebar in the footing, and that's pretty much it. And I don't even think they have to do anything on the top slab if they didn't want to.
No rebar?
Well, there's rebar on the footings, but to spec for the building, like the engineered, it doesn't say anything about that. Now, that being said, I might ask just to add some.
Well, they probably will.
Or if they don't,
especially with it being that big.
Right, because it's such a big span.
I mean, they did, I think, every 24 inches on mine.
Yeah.
Across the whole slab, and then however much in the footings, too.
Yeah.
They had fiber and stuff in that as well to help with if you don't do rebar, right?
Yeah, it's like the grate, like the... Yeah.
Are you doing a slick finish concrete, or are you doing brush finish?
I just brushed because it's the cheapest, and like I don't know. Yeah, like I mean, it's going to be a shop, and well, in the office, I'm going to put flooring down. Like I'll put LVT or something.
You'll put flooring in the shop too.
No,
we know you.
No, not with I like the wood shop part. It was actually very nice, and it looks better on camera.
Right.
But then it would be only half, and then I'd have half concrete for the metal, because you're not going to put like I had to take up a bunch of it in this shop when I started welding.
Carpet.
That's what you should do. Shag. Just straight
carpet in the metal shop.
Yeah. Make it look like the inside of my shop. You can get
one of those robot things that go around and pick up the...
that makes sense.
It works well with plasma cutting and stuff.
I'm pretty sure that the Wood Whisperer has one in his wood shop, by the way. One of those robot vacuums.
That's Milwaukee, I think, sells one that's like a shop vac.
Yeah,
that's it's like what are those called?
Not
Rumbies.
One. Roombas.
Yeah,
we have one in the house.
Do you? Do you like it?
It's not a Roomba. She said it had like a lot better review. I don't know what the hell it is. They have so many different brands.
They're so
now.
Expensive.
It wasn't that bad. I mean,
well, I'm saying Roombas, relative. Like the actual Roombas are like $400 or $500.
$250 or something. still, I mean, but you don't have to vacuum as often. You still have to vacuum, but we have so many dogs and cats, dude. It's like if you don't run something every day or every other day, you'll be overran with hair. So
but I have 3 floors.
Helps with that.
I'd have to get 3 of them.
Yeah, you would.
It would be the worst.
All going at the same time.
Yeah.
That's like I get stuck all the time. I mean, it's not great, but it's helpful. I guess.
It helps. That's cool.
Yeah, get stuck.
Brian and
under
them
the
have
bed
one. They
and
got
stuff.
dogs, and it's good for picking up the hair and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But what kind of dust collection are you gonna do for that big of a shop? Are you gonna try to get a bigger dust collector and pipe in a bunch of stuff?
Yeah, so I'm gonna get the big Delta, which is like a 1.5 horsepower.
Yeah,
they even have Delta had dust collectors, honestly, anymore. I thought
that's all I've ever had.
That's all I use.
I thought they quit making them. But
no, the one that I have, I absolutely love because it's the size of a shop vac, like floor print wise, but like a big shop vac. But it's like, probably 4 feet tall, so it's kind of small. It's miniature, but it works really good for being able to wheel it around. So like right now I have one that's on the wall that it reaches my table saw and it reaches my jointer, and then the other one I take to like my planer and my bandsaw and kind of wheel it around. So it's nice, but I would like to have one where it's all piped and everything's already set, so I can just freaking shut the blast gates or whatever and turn it on and get going. So
I'm gonna have to figure that out too, because I'm gonna leave the Rockler one I have the wall mounted in here to run the CNC with. And then I want to get one for the other shop, obviously. But I want to make like a little lean-to outside, to enclose it, so I don't have to hear it as much.
That's what
same with the air compressor too.
Right, that's what my father-in-law did. We built this like little 3 foot by 4 foot little shed on the back of his thing, and he has all the switches inside his shop. So whenever he needs something, he just turns it on, and it comes, and he's got it all set up. It's awesome. But he has his big air compressor and his dust collector out there, and it's so quiet. Yeah. But he'll forget. He has just right above his light switch before he exits. It's like turn off air compressor because he just walks out without turning it off. Yeah. But yeah, I'll put mine in.
I do that when I have headphones in, more or less, if it was outside.
Right, exactly. But I'll have a closet for it, so we'll see. It'll still be loud. Yeah, but I mean, it'll be enclosed. We'll try to either soundproof it a little bit more.
So since you did the VersaTube stuff, every time you get on social media now, is there VersaTube commercials? Because I
pay for it. This is not sponsored or anything. Oh
no, he means like they start typing it in.
To you. I get ads on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, it's everywhere.
It's kind of weird. I used to.
They're kind of
funny. That's kind of how I saw them. They're cool looking. The commercials are funny.
Because the guy's like, so easy, even your son could do it. And it's got like this dude with a man bun back there, and he's just hammering like on the tube with a hammer.
That's
and he's
hilarious.
like, and he walks back there, he's like, give me that crap, and like.
Oh really? That's
it's funny.
I haven't seen them. Yeah. No, I haven't gotten a ton. I used to get. And they just had like the animations that showed how it went, all went together, and it's pretty easy. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I keep seeing like the same 2 or 3, but they're all over. But I didn't even look at it. I looked at it like the website like 2 times. I don't know what the deal is, but
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's just like a DIY style car part tube shop like I'm getting, but you can do it yourself.
Mm-hmm. And so gotcha. you basically redhead. The bottom bracket down, and then each wall you assemble, and then you just pick up, and then you just put it in like each bracing, or and you just do the whole thing that way, and then you just attach them all together, and then throw the siding up, put in the insulation, and you're pretty much good to go.
How wide you say your shop is?
24 by 62 in 2 inches actually. But whatever, who's counting? No, it'll be good. I don't know why I did 62 feet.
Well, I thought you just said it was wider, because whenever I was looking into it, they said to do that style shop, you can't go wider than 30 feet.
No, I can't go wider. I can't go wider because I need to park my trailers on the side. Right? That was kind of like the goal. I don't want.
So you're doing an overhang for that, or no?
Can't actually, because I have a 10-foot easement on that side of my that whole side of my property.
Concrete down.
It's there. The concrete's not near the easement. So I'm 14 feet away from the fence.
Right.
So.
No, I'm saying, you're parking your trailer just on gravel or something?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So I moved. So you know how this was all gravel, so I could park it in the back.
Right.
So, I was gonna go buy more gravel because that whole area I took down. Well, that was one thing I did this last month was I took out a bunch of trees so I could get ready for this. And these giant plum trees, I took those all down with my cute little chainsaw.
It must have taken a really long time with that. So
it took a really long time.
It's like I cut down 2 trees. It took me 14 days.
I should have just bought a brand new chainsaw. It would have saved me a lot of time. But and the plum trees, like the plum trees we had anyway, have like 10 trunks that come out of the base in different directions. So you got to cut all the branches and then go down to the bottom. And anyway, so I got those. I had to cut down an apricot tree, which sucks. And then we did some dead trees that were like the cypresses that we cut down. Lots of trips to the dump. I think over 10 or 12. No, not this time.
No cows this time.
I would have filmed it. It would have been the most engagement I've got on a post in a long time.
Yelled at again.
No, but
Dude,
then
I was at work the other day, and my old country buddy Jimmy was sitting over there, and he's like, "Hey," it's like, "Yeah." He goes, "What in the hell chainsaw was that Jesse was using the other day?"
Oh, that's so funny.
I was like, "I know, man, it's bad." He goes, "That boy should be ashamed of himself."
Oh, that's funny. That hurts a little bit, actually.
Makes me happy.
Tell your friend that it was eco-friendly, and I'm saving the planet. So
yeah,
saving the planet by cutting down trees.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
What do I know?
Oh man.
Oh, but I cut down those trees. And I'm paying these guys to do all the concrete, obviously, and so to bring in more gravel. And I had all this gravel, and I was going to go buy more gravel to replace all that stuff. And my father-in-law was like, "Why don't you just get a dingo and move your rock that you paid for into the spot? Because you're going to pay somebody else to bring it. Don't give them free shit." And I was like, that's a good point. And so I just dug up as much of the gravel and just took it over in chunks and spread it out and then parked my trailers on top of it. So they came back the other day and they kind of had a funny look on their face like, oh, man. Like, you could tell they were a little disappointed that they wouldn't be able to use it. So it's kind of funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon, just to go back a little bit, I did have a question about the headlight thing because I really do need to do that to my truck. I'm thinking about selling my truck, my Chevy Silverado, and the headlights are terrible. So how did you fix those again? What did you use? Because you said you used your Merca sander, which is hilarious, and I didn't know you could do that. And what did you use? Did you just sand it, or did you use some kind of compound, or what?
So the first time that I did it before on my truck a long time ago, and you can buy like those kits that are headlight restoration kits or whatever, and it basically just comes with sandpaper and like a little buffing wheel for your drill, like one of those mother polishing balls. You've probably seen those. Yeah. And then like some compound or whatever. So I was doing that, and I had the Meguiar's kit, and it comes with like a 1000, 2000 grit, and I was doing it by hand, and I was like, why am I doing this by hand when I have this amazing sander sitting 2 feet from where I'm standing? So I'm like, I'll just grab that. So I got the Merc out, and I ended up with these ones had to go down because they were really bad, and it looked like somebody had used like a really crappy spray on clear coat, super thick, so it was like peeling real bad, like a paint does on older cars, and so I had to get all of that off. So I actually went down to like 320, and I used the Abranet, and it worked really well. And then the dust collection actually pulled all the the fine plastic dust basically, so I wasn't breathing that, which was nice. And then I just went up in the grits all the way to 4000, and then once I got there, just used the polishing bonnet or whatever you want to call it, the lamb's wool deal. And I used the Plastex Meguiar stuff, but once I did that, I was thinking like I probably could use the Merca Polar Shine compound that they have, because they have polishing stuff, and I used it on my boat too, and it worked really good. So I think next time I have to do it, I'll try that Polar Shine stuff, and it probably will work just as well. And then once you get done with that, you have to put a clear coat on it of some sort.
Gotcha. But when you're sanding it, you're not putting anything on. You're just sanding it.
Yeah, in the kit they give you like a wet dry sandpaper, but I didn't do. I mean, actually, when I got up into the thousands grit, I took the hose off of my sander and I sprayed some water on. I don't know if that Abralon is. It's probably not meant for wet sanding, but it seemed to work. I just used a little bit just to all wet sanding does is basically give it a lubricant so it's not scratching, because at that point you're basically just polishing.
Gotcha.
But, I'm no pro at it by any means. I've only done it a few times, but it's worked out pretty good.
Yeah.
And the sander, the Merca made it
for
way faster.
For sure. Let's be honest. If Brandon can do it,
anybody can do it. That's for sure. That's funny.
No, that's really helpful to know, because I was literally looking at my headlights today and realized how bad they were. I was like, I gotta figure out I gotta do some research or something and figure that out.
It's not hard, really.
Hey, you know what I hate about car stuff is like most car stuff, when you actually look up a YouTube video, you're like, oh, I could do that. But you don't want to spend the 4 hours to do it. You know, like I gotta change the springs or the shocks and struts on my wife's car. I need to do that, but I don't want to spend time to do it. So I'm gonna go pay somebody way too much money to do it. Even though I know how much they cost for material. But it kind of sucks.
That's exactly how guys like us get hired to do woodworking projects.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah. The problem too is though, like with car stuff, not all car stuff, a good portion of car stuff, if you have basic, well, for us at least, we have most of the tools that we can get that stuff done. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it's not like when people that are looking for woodworking projects, most people don't have the tooling to even do a lot of like the higher end stuff, right? Like to make a table or whatever. And so it's a little different, right? Because it's like they're paying for not just for us to put in the time, the effort, the knowledge, but also the tooling. And a lot of the car stuff, you're like, I could totally do this myself. The tooling's not really the issue. It's just I don't want to do it. And so you're like, I'm going to pay somebody, and it's going to be way too much money. So I'm going to go do that this week, and it's going to be ridiculously expensive. But literally, I drive my wife's car, and you're just driving down the road, and you just hear smack. You're like, smack. You're like, oh my God. I mean, it's a 2012, so it's like, yeah, you probably need to change the shocks and struts on a decade-old car. But you can feel it when you hit the road, and it's like,
quick funny story on car stuff on me happened to me, I guess Wednesday night. I was coming home, it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I'd worked all day, and I was coming home, I got off the interstate, and I'm probably a good 4 to 5 miles, maybe 6 miles from my house, and I ran over something in the middle of the road. I'm assuming a wreck or something had happened there earlier, and there was a car part or something in the road, but I ran over it, and immediately, like in my head, I was like, that didn't feel good, like that wasn't right. And then in my truck, it goes ding, and it pops up where it shows all 4 tires and the air pressure. And the front left one, it was like a countdown. It was like 42, 41, 40, and I was like, no!
He's like, hammer down, I can make it home.
I was trying to make that conscious decision of like, how fast can I go, but how fast can I go while I'm getting a flat tire?
Right, exactly.
And you're like Googling as you're driving, how fast can I go on 30 pounds of air pressure?
Hey, I made it. I pulled in my driveway with less than 10 pounds of pressure, according to the computer in my truck. Yeah. Like, it was almost on the rim. I was like,
that's crazy. That's funny.
That's crazy. I got hit on the freeway the other day, 2 days ago.
You got hit on the freeway?
Well, I didn't get... Yes,
this story's quickly changing.
No. He goes, I got hit on the freeway. You got hit on the freeway? Well, no, I didn't get hit on the freeway. It's like, what
it sounds more dramatic when you say it like that.
You can't say
got hit on the freeway? Technically, yes.
I
was driving through Sacramento, which is like a nightmare place to go through. If you live in California, you drove through there any amount of times, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like LA, but scaled down and horribly managed. So, yeah, it sucks. There's like 4 or 5 lane freeway, and everybody's going in this one area in the center of Sacramento. I have a car on the car trailer behind me, and I'm driving, and I'm like, see something out of the corner of my eye. I look over, and there's like an F-250 or 350 like utility work truck doing like 90, and I'm like, are you I can't believe they weren't like touching the side of my truck already. And I look over to make sure nobody's there, and I swerved over to the left, and they like came by, and their mirror smacked my mirror, and
jeez.
I'm doing 65, 70 miles an hour, and they're doing like 90. And my mirror folds forward. Luckily, apparently, it folds forward without braking. I did not know that. But folded forward, and he like nicked my bumper. And I'm like, what? Like, obviously freaking out. Probably shouldn't say it on the podcast things I was saying. But he looked in his mirror, and he's just like, oh, you didn't wreck. Okay, see you later. And just kept going. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. So I like roll my window down, reach out, pull my mirror back, and I'm like, dude, crazy.
That's the only thing you were doing with your hand out that window.
You did a lot of things with your hands. Don't lie.
That's a fact.
Brandon just told us a very PG rated story, and we know that wasn't the case.
There's a lot of screaming and hand gestures. That might be why he didn't stop. I don't know.
That's funny.
Well, I think Brandon's freeway crash, not so crash is a good way to end it. Justin, do you remember how to take this away?
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna struggle. You guys all bear with me.
He's a little drunk.
Whatever. Thanks for listening, guys. Make sure you share with friends. That's the best thing you can do to support the podcast. Also, we have merch now available. And so you can reach out to any three of us. We'll also have it in the description of the podcast, the link to go get those shirts. JP, show off your shirt. Go build something. So if you want one of those shirts, you can go to the link. You can order it. We have a bunch of different colors. So support that way, but support by sharing and rating us on all the podcast platforms, whatever you're listening to right now. We appreciate it. And go watch the YouTube. Sam puts in a lot of work. So go watch that. It's pretty interactive. Plus you get to see our gorgeous faces. So thanks for listening, guys. Go build something.
Blades of Glory.
No, not Blades of Glory. That's a wrong movie, but yes.